Welcome back to another video. It's been a few weeks since CIG unveiled the Drake Ironclad as the newest concept ship, and we finally have the long-awaited Q&A responses. In this video, I'm just going to be going through the responses and we'll have more in-depth thoughts on how it compares to other ships in another video. For a quick refresher, the Ironclad is an armored freighter that has two variants, the Ironclad and Ironclad Assault. The Ironclad has 1,536 SCUs of storage, along with 3 tractor beam turrets, while the Ironclad Assault has 1,152 SCUs of storage, and trades the tractor beams for weapon turrets and a vehicle repair bay. I'm also going to list the original concept pledge prices of ships that the devs reference so we have a better understanding of where I feel CIG are placing these new ships. The Ironclad and Ironclad Assault are valued at $400 and $465 respectively. The C2 and M2 were $300 and $400, with the Liberator at $500. I'm using the original concept warbond prices to make things more of an apples-to-apples comparison. Diving in, we have the obvious question of what ships are the Ironclad's competitors? More specifically, how does it compare to the Crusader Hercules since it seems to outperform in every aspect? CIG believe the Liberator and Hercules are the closest competitors, and I would agree with that statement. The Liberator is a dedicated vehicle transporter, but its cargo remains relatively exposed. This part of the response is a bit confusing because the Liberator is said to have a dedicated cargo hold of 400 SCU. From all my research, this storage is supposed to be internal as to not sacrifice vehicle space. I'm assuming that the devs are considering vehicles being transported on the exterior pads as cargo in this instance, which they are. However, when players hear cargo, they assume SCU. This could have been clarified a bit more instead of leading to another question. They continue by saying that on paper, the C2 and M2 are the closest competitors, providing enclosed cargo capacity and the option for multiple turrets. The Ironclad Assault will outclass the M2 with its turret firepower, and the devs also bring attention to the base Ironclad outhauling the C2's 696 SCU. I'm a bit perplexed by this comparison because even the Ironclad Assault can outperform the C2. This may be to keep the comparison to ship roll as well as pledge price. As a reminder, the base Ironclad is valued at $100 more than the C2, and that was at its original concept. I'm curious as to see where the Liberator will sit in this class since it's valued at $35 more than the Ironclad Assault. This moves into the next question, which is, can the Ironclad be used as a mini carrier, and what is the biggest ship it could fit? The short answer is it can be. While the cargo bay is not designed to conform to hangar metrics, certain ships will fit. The current dimensions are 40 by 21 by 7.5 meters. This appears to be the entire cargo space, as we're reminded that the roof does not retract over the full volume. This will limit the maximum length of ships that you can fit, but I'm sure that there will be creative ways to get the maximum out of the situation. The devs do leave themselves an out here by saying that all these numbers are subject to change during the production process. Will the Ironclad Assault have a retracting roof? It will. The retracting roof is a shared element between the variants, but the tractor beam setup will be removed. This will significantly compromise the utility of the Assault version, but I wonder if this will help with clearances when trying to land something inside the cargo hold. Will either version have strong VTOL thrusters for atmospheric flight? They both will. While CIG doesn't specify strong thrusters, both versions will have identical thruster layouts with integrated VTOL thrusters underneath. I'm assuming they will look something like the thrusters on the Vulture on a much larger scale. Is there an armory in the Assault? At the moment, there's not. However, during production, they will be looking for the best place to put one. There's a reference to converting the front area that is currently the secure storage area on the base Ironclad. I think an armory is justified since it has a whopping 34 jump seats, which also seem positioned in the nose of the ship. The Ironclad Assault has a repair bay as an installed feature, but will it be able to repair more than just vehicles? For example, could it repair ship components as well? Yes, repair facilities will be more restricted by the volume and resources than a specific type of repair. While I think this is a good question, it will be discussed in more detail once we know more about repair and crafting. With the Ironclad being 2 ships, how will the self-destruction feature work? Can you start the sequence from the command module, then fly away, or will both explode regardless? The response to this is that there will be 2 independent self-destruct systems. Setting off the self-destruct in the command module will enable both systems if it is attached. You will also be able to trigger the system in the main hull from the control room. The devs don't really clarify on the order of operations here. I'm assuming that if you arm the sequence from the command module, then detach, you will be able to cancel the action from each respective station. Is the command module shared between the Ironclad and Caterpillar? It is compatible with the Caterpillar, but not identical. The module is a redesign of the one for the Caterpillar, but retains a lot of the same features. If you detach the command module, does the Ironclad become a flying brick, or can you steer it from the ship itself? The short answer is It's a brick. The Ironclad is flown exclusively from the command module. The main hull is still functional and has its own power and cooling, but it will no longer be flyable. Systems like the tractor beams and self-defense turrets will still be operational. This makes sense to me because what would be the point of a command module otherwise? How will insurance work with the detaching command module and losing the main body of the ship? As of right now, we don't have an answer for this. They are still working on how insurance will work, but that will come at a later date once it nears its flyable release. Is the ship's armor actually heavy? And how will it be represented in-game since armor isn't implemented yet? This is a problem for another day, but relative to other ships of its size class, it is. The implementation of it will be appropriate to the mechanics in place at the time of launch. I'm hoping that by the time the Ironclad is released, we will actually have ship armor in the game, and this will not have to be done by inflating some base stats. One of the shortest questions is whether or not the interior turret is a tractor beam or defense turret. It will be a defense turret at the rear of the cargo bay. Will the assault have tractor beams? No, there are no tractor beams as they were traded for more firepower. You will need to bring your own FPS tractor beams or ships with one to move things around. This next question is a rather long one. How will gravity in the cargo bay be handled? Will there be an air shield like the front of the Caterpillar? And will you fall inside if you are in EVA and get too close to the open roof access? There is no air shield on the top of the cargo bay, and once the roof is open, it vents all the atmosphere and care must be taken to avoid any injury. That brings us to the end of the Q&A, and while some good questions were asked, I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of the development goes. Thanks for sticking around, and as always, I hope you found this informative, and I'll catch you in the next one.